Hello everybody, Dokkan Assets here. Today I wanted to make a video talking about what my experience was at Gacha's memorial service. I talked about in the video that obviously I did right after he passed, a little bit about how I was going to be able to attend his memorial service. If you are kind of confused as to what's going on, that would definitely be the video to watch, obviously to clear up any confusion. But I just wanted to kind of share my thoughts on the experience with all of you, and more importantly, because unfortunately the one thing that didn't get filmed, and I'll explain why in a second here, because there's kind of like 2 points to this video. One is to tell you my thoughts about the memorial, and the other one is to tell you about two important things that will be kind of like the final stepping stone in this journey of Gacha's passing, I suppose. I'm gonna need some water. I can tell I'm already choking on my own spit, bro. Stay hydrated. I'm going to do this in one take, by the way, so I apologize if there's pauses or anything like that. There'll be, like, minimal editing. I'm just going to flash pictures of the memorial on the screen for, like, reference sake. But basically, with the memorial, right, well, let me tell you this before I get into, you know, my experience with the memorial. There are going to be two videos that are going to come from the memorial, and it's important that I explain this now because I kind of wanted to say this at the end, but some of the things I'm going to tell you about that happened there won't make sense without this information. So for one, Gotcha's family, Richard's family, is putting together a video that is literally like everything that happened at the memorial. They had like a professional videographer, I almost called him a photographer, a videographer come in and film what happened at the celebration of life. So not only is that pretty cool, because obviously that'll be something that the family will be able to, you know, look back on, you know, maybe show future generations of the family, you know, when they're talking about Richard, but also obviously for those of you who weren't able to attend, which I know is a lot of you, you'll be able to experience it through that way, and hopefully maybe be able to get a little bit of closure on the situation through that video. And it was also just very nice of his mother to, like, even, you know, bother, because of course she didn't have to do that, but she did very much feel like when I was there, you know, we kind of got that vibe before we were before we were there, rather. And I kind of got that vibe when I was there too, that like she really cared about all of you, you know, like being able to see all of this. So with this video that is going to be created, it's going to be filming there are only, like, I guess, two things that I know for sure are going to be in the video. One, they did do interviews with some of the people who were there, including our group, so you may see me in the video as well as the rest of our friends. We literally were just asked, hey, would you like to do an interview and say a little something about Gacha? It wasn't really like an interview, like they didn't ask us questions, right? It was like, would you like to just say a little something that would be added into the video? So we did get the opportunity to do that, which is really cool. Will be immortalized that we were there. And as well, they did have a priest, you know, come and say a little thing about Gacha, which was cool. And because it was for the video, it was more focused around like his, the way that he spread joy and love throughout the Dokkan community specifically. I got to admit, it was so weird hearing an actual, like, you know, he's got the priest certificate, bro. Say the words Dokkan community. Very weird. Don't think that's ever going to happen again in the history of the world. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. But that video, unfortunately, I don't know where that's going to be uploaded for you to watch, because at the moment, as far as I know, Gacha's family does not have access to his PC or his phone. Both are locked behind a password. While we were there, and we did get to speak to his mother a little bit, I was trying to, you know, like, give some helpful tips or like things that I could help with, like, oh, well, there has to be a way that you can get the password. Obviously, you could bring it into like a Microsoft store to get, like them to get into Windows. Then obviously he would be logged in on his channel, and then they could upload it to his YouTube channel. Same thing if they could get into his phone. There has to be a way. I don't know if it was like number key or like, you draw a pattern or whatever. And I know he had 2 phones too, and I assume he would be logged into YouTube on both. So if they could get into his phone, then they could upload it through the phone to his channel. But right now, we don't know if that video... Also, sorry, I'm cracking my hands here. Carpal tunnel is fun. Regardless, though, with... that being said, I don't know where it's going to be uploaded, if not his channel, if they can't get into his channel. I don't know how long the video is going to take to make, all of that stuff. So what I'll tell you is that please keep an eye out on my Twitter account and on my Discord. I will @ everybody once I find a link to the video. Obviously, through this whole thing, I've met a couple of Gacha's IRL friends, and so I know that they're already, when the video is eventually made and wherever it's posted, they'll send me the link right away. The person who is giving us information about Gacha's condition behind the scenes, I know will send it to me as soon as it's up. So when I get that link, I will make sure to share it with all of you to the best of my ability so that you are able to see that. Because obviously if it's not on Gacha's channel, then, the only way that everyone is going to see it is if people share it around. So obviously I will do my best to share it. The other video that is something else that would have been the only other way that we would have gotten this footage of the poster, me giving her the poster, was our friend who was on the trip, our meaning the group who went on the trip, Mr. James PachiTube. You've probably heard me talk about him a few times and maybe see me interact with him on the timeline. He obviously, we're IRL bros. You probably see us posting pictures a couple times together. But he decided to make a vlog of the trip. And, like, originally, because, like, it was his decision to do so, right? And at first he really didn't want to. And also I apologize. My hair looks goofy. I literally just got out of the shower. But regardless, right? He decided he wanted to because it was, like, not just because this would be the only time that, our friend group would be able to maybe ever get together, because obviously, this is like I don't know, not obviously for this purpose, this is the only time that this is ever going to happen, but quite possibly, just as friends, this may be the only time we ever get to see each other. So he wanted to document it as best he could. And obviously, as a way for everybody else to see what happened at the memorial from our perspective, as well as, our thoughts about it. And, of course, obviously as a way to honor him. As Gacha always used to say, content is content. So having someone make content out of that, I suppose would, appease. I think in heaven he's smiling at that right now. Knowing how he was with YouTube content. But that video is going to be uploaded onto James's channel. He is currently working on uploading it. We are giving him all of our footage that we took on the trip. I didn't take any much myself. I'm in the video, obviously. I'm in everybody else's videos, but I wasn't like behind the camera. I told him before, I was like, listen, bro, you can handle the recording. I'll be your, I'll be part of the circus. You know what I mean? So I will leave a link to his channel in the description below, where you can, sub to him. He does also make other great content too, but you can go and sub to him, and then that way, when that video eventually does go up, you can get that directly in your sub box. Both of those are also important for the experience here that I'm about to tell you about. Also, I apologize. The last thing I'm going to apologize about, if I sound like I'm a little sick or I got a stuffy nose, that's because on the trip we got like a whole 5 hours of sleep. And when I got home, I was very tired and I got a little bit sick. So nothing too crazy, just had like stuffy nose and a sore throat. So I'm chilling though. I feel a lot better than I did a couple days ago when I first got back from the trip. I was like deader than dead. I was like absolutely exhausted. So now I'm feeling a lot better. Obviously, I wouldn't have been able to make this video then, and that's also partially why this video took so long to make, telling my experience about this, because not only did I want to be like semi awake, I was also waiting a little bit to see if maybe any information would be sent my way about the production of either of these videos. James, obviously, I can just shoot him a DM, but obviously he's still, it's going to take a while to work on it, and just in case there was some word of them getting into Gacha's channel or something like that I could put into this video, but unfortunately I haven't heard anything yet. That could still be a week, maybe 2 weeks out. We'll have to see. Only time will tell on that. But I wanted to talk about my experiences at the memorial in general, but also with the poster. As a lot of you saw, I asked for you guys to send me your notes, your signature, your Twitter all that good stuff, to compile onto this poster. And the poster turned out absolutely fantastic. I was very, very happy with how it turned out. It was like all of it just kind of came together so perfectly. And I was really proud of it because, like, not only was the poster my idea, like my brain came up with that, and I was able to give such a meaningful gift to their family because of it, I was also able to get all of you guys involved, and the whole community was able to give her such a meaningful gift, with all of your messages. So thank you for submitting all of those. But I wanted to just kind of talk through the memorial, just kind of give you the little timeline of how it went. And obviously I will show the pictures when I talk about that part. I did post a couple, but obviously, since I was trying to be more in the moment, of course, I didn't post too many, but the main thing I want to talk about is the poster, and that's probably what I'll spend the most time on, because obviously I'm not going to tell you about the whole trip, because that's not the point of this video, and that's not what you're here for. Also, you can just watch James's vlog for that. Because obviously the memorial will be a part of that, but it's the whole trip. Anyhow, so for the memorial, obviously all of us went as a group, right? I'm sorry, by the way, I keep looking over here. It's because this is where the monitor is. Just want to make sure everything is recording. I do not want to redo this video. And my camera's over here, so I apologize if it looks a little weird. I'm like, anyway, when we walked in, right, the first thing is that this was in like a little, what would you even call this? I guess just like a banquet hall, right? We pulled up from our Uber. All of us were there. There was 9 of us in total in our group, and we all got out of the Uber, and we went in, and we all kind of walked in and sort of like lined up side to side. And they had a very nice setup for Gacha in the front. There was, let me think about this. I'll show the video here. While I'm talking about this, it was basically a picture, and I know the poster's there in the video. I'll talk about that getting there in a second, but there is the big picture frame of Gacha there, right? Where I think he's going like this or something like that. Very nice picture of him. And then there were some pictures of him to the side that were on a big poster board. And then as well, in the middle, there were some items on the table of his, as well as the urn in the center of the table. And then next to that table, there were some more pictures of him. And then I don't think there was anything to the side of that. Also, to the side of his picture, there was also guitar, because he was very into music. The first thing that definitely, not only caught all of our eye, but also caught all of us off guard, was surely the urn. We did not know that the urn was going to be there. We had no idea. I mean, maybe one could assume such a thing, right? Maybe it was just wrong of me not to assume in this case. Obviously, usually it's, wrong of you to assume. But that being the first thing that simultaneously caught all of our eye had us stop dead in our tracks. And we all stood there, I think, for 15 minutes just staring at it, not moving. It was just crazy for so many different reasons, right? The fact that he was right there in front of us, and the fact that like this is hard for me to say. I'm sorry. I'm don't want to try and get too emotional in this video just because like I want to try and describe this experience as clearly as I can to you. But I think it's impossible not to, understandably. So just bear with me a little bit. With the urn, right? It was obviously, you know, he was right there, but it was also our first time seeing him, right? In person, I guess you would say. And that I know for the entire group was heartbreaking, to say the least. Like, really, really heartbreaking. A feeling that I can't really describe to you. I don't even know, like, what words I could use to put them into a proper description for that feeling. But I will say, I was proud of our group for many reasons on the trip. But one thing that I think that I will look back on this trip fondly with was in those moments where every single one of us was in so much pain, unimaginable pain. All of us were there for each other. Like, as soon as one of us in that line would start tearing up or crying, someone would come around and put an arm around them or pull them into a hug. That was really powerful for me. For a lot of reasons. Of course, you know, this being our first time meeting in person, it was awesome to see that, you know, without even saying a word to each other in that moment, we were there for each other. But also because Gacha was the one who cultivated that, right? He was the one who created that environment. And I don't mean literally, of course. I mean, he was the one who kind of brought that group together, right? Or at least was one of the key factors in bringing that whole group together, right? Because, like, of course, we were all there because we were all his friends, right? Like, he knew each individual one of us, and we basically all met because of him, right? From the various different factions that he was a part of, so to speak. So the fact that he created that group and he created that environment where we could do that for each other and be there for each other like that was so powerful to me. That is something that I certainly won't forget from this experience. After we sort of, you know, took a deep breath and calmed down a little bit, we all approached and we kind of took turns walking in front of everything that they had up at the front. And it was pretty powerful. Obviously, these were a lot of, you know, Gotcha's like loved items. Of course, the printed out pictures of him on the board were, you know, many pictures of him. You know, there was a couple that I remember specifically. There was one that was of his cats, right? Whenever we would be in a VC with him, he would always be like, Mimi, come here. I can hear him say it in my mind. He'd be like, Coco, come here. And there was an image of him sitting on his laptop with the cats on him, which were all like, oh, we recognize those cats. But it was very powerful being up there, seeing all of that, you know, seeing that nice picture of him, all of his items, and of course the urn being there. I'll touch on that a little bit more in a moment, because that kind of comes into play with two more specific things that happen. But people slowly started coming in. We were one of the first people there. We wanted to get there early. I mean, you know, obviously it was the purpose that we were there, so of course we wanted to get there early. But we met with one of the people who had been talking to us throughout the experience. This was a person that James had interacted with more than I had, named Walter. Very nice guy, very nice guy. Excuse me. Everybody there was super nice. I'll kind of talk about some of those experiences too. But everybody there was incredibly nice, which I mean, I guess in that sort of circumstance is kind of to be expected. But at the same time, you know, we are quite literally complete strangers to them, right? Like, we were invited, of course, but the only people, like, we haven't even seen any of these people's faces before, right? Like, unless it's like their profile picture or something. Um, and they maybe knew like who we were ish, but you know, like they didn't know who we were. You know what I mean, or who we are. You understand what I'm trying to say? So it was, thank you to everybody as well who was so nice to us there. If you're watching and we met you at the memorial, thank you. It was so nice to meet each and every one of you, even if it was just a really small like moments interaction. I know there was a lot going on, and we were, you know, being pulled in different directions to talk to different people. Thank you for that. I really, really appreciate it. It means a lot. So, Walter went and got Gotcha's mother. And she was outside while we were, you know, like kind of just standing and talking. I apologize if, like, besides the events that I remember having at a specific point, um, I apologize if I mixed anything up. I guess you wouldn't, you know, have no way of knowing unless, you know, I guess you see it in the video. I'm just telling it how I remember it. Of course, you know, it is like a little bit blurry, I suppose, because of course, you know, it's kind of a hard thing to go through and process. It also went really, really fast. I know this is like kind of a side note, but it was so fast. Like the whole thing was 3 hours, and it felt like an hour and a half. Like we were literally standing there talking about like, oh, we have an hour and 15 minutes left, right? Or whatever. And then we looked down, you know, at the clock, and it was 15 minutes had passed already. And we looked at each other like, what just happened? So obviously everything was moving pretty fast. Or, you know, you get that feeling, right? So we're all kind of standing. And Walter brings in Gotcha's mother. Very, very nice. Absolute sweetheart. It was a pleasure to be able to meet her. I was so glad that I was able to. And so this was also like before I even got to like introduce myself, we were kind of like thrust into the situation of presenting the poster, which is fine. I wanted to give it to her, you know, like as soon as I could, but it was just kind of like funny isn't the right word to use, but I don't really know what other word to use. Just kind of interesting, I guess, how things played out. But Walter, you know, brought you know, her over to us, and she like knew who we were because, you know, obviously he explained it, whatever. And James gave her a hug and said a couple of things to her, and talked about the poster a little bit. But he stood next to her, and I stood directly in front of her, right, like eye to eye. And I had the tube in my hand because I brought it in this big like packing tube. Thank you, by the way, TSA, for letting that through. I appreciate it, because that thing was sticking out of my bag, and there was no way that that fit the measurements for, like, it fit under my seat, even though it was sticking out of my backpack, but, you know, like, they're technical regulations, but they didn't say anything. So, thank you for that, too. Anyway, so I started taking the poster out of the tube, right? And I started explaining it a little bit, right? And, you know, I talked about how I wanted to give you something physical, a gift to, you know, show you, and there's a better word than that, though, and that's kind of not really what I mean, but like to express, I guess, maybe is a better way, a better thing to say, like to express not only how much we, you know, his friends appreciated him so much, but how much the community really appreciated him. We wanted to give you something that represented that. And I know, like, as I was explaining this, she started choking up. And I felt bad. Like, I started choking up, and I was like, if you start crying, I'm going to start crying. Which, like, I don't know if that was the right thing to say in the moment, but it was all I could think to say. Like, whenever I'm in, like, you know, I guess I'm kind of like a laugh through the pain sort of person. You know, I tend to like laugh, I guess, which isn't the best in certain situations, I suppose, but you know, that's just how I am. Um, you know, something that I need to work on in certain situations, I'm sure, but, um, excuse me, you know, it is what it is and obviously understandable. So, um, this was like when this all kind of hit me in this moment, because the other thing that I also want you to kind of visualize with this too, and I'm sorry this video is 25 minutes long. I intended this to be like 20, but it might be 40 at this rate. Thank you for watching if you still are. Obviously, I have a lot to say about this. With this too, right? All of the rest of us, right? The rest of our group was standing like right behind me, right? So like the 7 others who were with us were standing like right behind me, standing right here. And like, it was such a powerful moment because it literally felt like, you know, everyone was right there, right behind me, you know, in like more of a spiritual way than the literal way, even though they literally were. And I know, like, even when I said, you know, like, oh, I might start crying, you know, they were putting their hands on my shoulders, um, you know, which was obviously very comforting. And, you know, again, the support with that group is unreal. But as I'm, you know, getting done finishing explaining the poster, you know, that it's from us and it's from the community and we wanted to express our gratitude, you know, to you and to Gacha. You know, it's like we wanted to give you this poster. And as soon as I unrolled the poster and held it out, instantly she started bawling and she like doubled over. Like she was still standing. It was more of like a squat for a moment. I think James kind of thought she fell over because he like rushed down to like help her up. But she was okay. But obviously, like having that unrolled in front of you, when that's your son, is of course, you know, overwhelming in a lot of different ways, right? And you know, she just took a moment to look at it, just kind of standing there crying, and you know, she just kind of looked at him and was like, thank you so much. And that was like more than I could have asked her to say, honestly. um, I really, really, you know, it made me very happy that I could do something like that, you know, and we could do something like that, for her and, you know, the rest of the family. And so I gave her a hug after that. I think everybody gave her a hug, actually. Um, I was able to also show it to his dad as well. His dad was there. His dad didn't have as much to say, which is okay. Obviously, you know, everybody reacts differently. And his dad was also very nice. I mean, I frankly, I don't know what I would say if I was in, you know, that situation. Um, Literally could not even comprehend. You know, so I'm not going to try to. But, you know, he basically was just, you know, tearing up and just said, thank you so much. Um, so I'm glad he got to see it as well. And the crazy part about this was then, um, his mom told us, find some place to put it so that it's out and everybody could see it. And we were like, us? We were like, don't, like, you want to put it somewhere? Like, we don't want to, like, intrude like that, you know? Like, because I was just kind of thinking that she would, you know, like, just roll it back up and put it in the tube and then, like, read it later, right? Which, obviously, like, that's what I was expecting. And she was like, no, find somewhere where it's visible and everybody can see it. You can put it anywhere. And we were like, we were kind of all looking at each other, like, in awe, you know? We were like, really? You know? And that was one of the other things that, and there's one more thing that also really solidified this all for me. But that was one of the things too that like really made me was like, obviously I was glad that I did it, of course, but made me feel proud, you know, that not only that I did it, but I could bring something together like this for all of us to present, you know, and do something like this. The fact that, you know, she would find it so good to be like, put it out for everybody to see, you know, is like more than any other action could have, you know, more like, what's the word that I'm looking for here? Like more appreciation, I guess, you know, than anything else could have, frankly, like shown to me for it. And I didn't expect any type, you know, like she didn't even have to say thank you if she didn't want to, but it was just like that notion of doing that was very impactful to me. And so the crazy part about this too is that that gets even more amplified because so after we put the poster, we put it against like the bottom of the easel that was holding up Gacha's big picture frame, right? The picture of him going like this. We put it right there at the bottom, you know, so it's just like sitting on the floor, you know, not like laying down, obviously, you know, it's like leaning against the thing so you could walk up to it and read it. And like immediately, the videographer comes up to us and was like, hey, would you mind if we, you know, how do you guys say a little thing for the video? And so we went out to the lobby, and, you know, so we went out of like the main room, all of us. We went out to the lobby and basically he just had us like stand there, and, you know, like say a little piece. You know, obviously we didn't have to if we didn't want to, but excuse me, whoever wanted to could. And one thing that I will say that I was also proud of our group again, you know, in that moment too, was that like he kept trying to like take us one by one like somewhere else to like record it. And like I understand why, because obviously as like a videographer, you know, it's like you want the best shot and you want it to look good and presentable for this video, but like none of us wanted to leave each other. You know, we all wanted to stay as one group, which was something that I really appreciated because we all wanted to be there to support each other. Whether we were really even like thinking about that or not, you know, we were just like, no, we're not going anywhere alone. Unfortunately, two of us did have to end up going outside. The guy was like shout out to the boy Soviet. The guy was like, yeah, you're too loud to record inside. We need to take you out. I was like, bro, wow. So we just kind of waited in as he came out, and then one other in our group went out. And, you know, we all said our piece about Gacha. So I don't know if they're going to, like, use every single person's testimonial in the video. I would kind of assume so. You know, because obviously I feel like that would be a lot if they did, because not only is it our group of people who did it, which was already, like, you know, I think 8 of us did it. There's also like the other people there. Sorry, I don't know why I brain fart there. There's also like the other people there, obviously, you know, who are attending. And of course, I'm sure they did some testimonials. So either the video is going to be really long and they include them all in their like full length. I mean, I guess it was only like a minute or two that we said something either way. But, you know, already with like the 8 there, that's like, you know, over 10 minutes at least. So, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how they edit it. Obviously, that's all them. You know, we have no idea about any of that. But either way, the part that was then super impactful to us was that we came back inside the main area, right, out from the lobby that we were recording the interviews in. And they had taken the poster and propped it up on the easel that Gacha's frame was on. It like covered like 2/3 of the whole picture that they had printed out, this like nice framed picture of him, and they had put it up on the easel, right, so that you could see it better and so that more people could see it. And we didn't ask them to do that, of course. You know, literally, we were all outside and we wouldn't have asked to do that because we didn't even think we were going to set the thing up in the first place. And walking in and seeing that they not only already told us put it so someplace that they, that everybody can see it, they literally put it on a pedestal, basically. Not literally, of course, but they put it on a pedestal for everyone to see. And that really touched my heart. That really was what made me feel like, wow. Um, you know, Speechless, frankly. Um, Absolutely speechless. Words cannot describe, how grateful I am that it invoked that action. So thank you. I don't know how to say it, in a proper way to like truly show how thankful I am for it. Because obviously that action right there was what told me, that it was appreciated from the bottom of, his mom's heart. So, after that, um, we were kind of mingling around the in front of the urn, um, and I don't remember who went up first, but I know James went up and he put his hand on the urn, said a couple of things, for the people who couldn't be there, and his, wishes and thoughts and all the rest. And I remember him turning around and him just, having tears falling down his face, and all of us standing there just kind of brought him into a group huddle. Um, and, comfort him. And he told us a little bit about what he said. And it was, it was kind of funny though, because I think, not him crying, obviously. I think it was kind of funny because anybody who would have like onlooked to us would have been like, what is wrong with these people? Because something James said, we all laughed at. Um, he was talking about like, after he said everything that he said up there, he was like, look at us. I don't remember like to the T what he said, but something Gacha always used to say is, you're acting crazy. He'd always be like, you're acting crazy right now. And so James was like, if he saw us right now, he would say, guys, you're acting crazy. Stop acting crazy. And we all started laughing at that. And I'm sure that any onlookers would have been like, I know I would have the same reaction. Um, but so that was a nice moment, bringing him in and comforting him. And, obviously everybody who wanted to could have gone up there and, put their hand on it. I did the same. Um, I basically just talked about, like a couple of my final wishes, thanked him. Most importantly, told him I love him. I talked a little bit about the poster, and, I brought everybody's good wishes, for you here. Um, and so it was nice to, in a very odd sort of way, get closure in that way, just by touching the jar. And of course, that wasn't really needed, but it was just nice. You know what I mean? Um, I don't want to say it was the cherry on top, because usually that phrase is used for positive things, but I think you kind of understand what I'm saying. Um, it was the way to like perfectly cap it off, I suppose. Um, so after that, it was basically just like mingling with the various people that were there. Like I said, we got to talk to some of the people that we had met throughout this whole journey, who were some of Gotcha's IRL friends. We got to meet Charles, who was the man who started the GoFundMe. It was very nice to meet him. Very nice guy. We thanked him for starting the GoFundMe, obviously, and he thanked us, for not only spreading it around, but of course, getting it to, the proper places, and of course, getting it onto the radar of the community. So obviously, everybody could, see it and potentially donate. And of course, he kind of thanked us to thank, you know, all the big donors, of course, Truth and 5ix9ine, had some, you know, big hands and some of the big numbers in there, right? And so it was very cool to meet him, as well. Israel, the person who we have been talking to throughout this whole experience, we also got to meet him. Um, Very nice guy as well. It was very nice to meet him, especially after talking to him, you know, on the phone and on VC a couple of times. So it was very nice to meet both of them. Um, and we also met just a couple of people as well. Oh, one person, the only other person that I think that I knew that I was going to meet there was, I'm so sorry. I don't think I ever actually got your name now that I'm thinking about it. Um, and because I was like, I wasn't even looking at Twitter ats or names or anything. Like when I got their submission for the poster, I didn't even look. So I apologize about that. That's totally on me. But it was this girl with like yellow and orange hair. Um, she submitted a drawing of Gacha for the poster. Um, like technically after I had closed it, but you know, she explained that she was going to be at the memorial and she was one of Gotcha's IRL friends, and I was like, I literally cannot say no to that, you know, in good conscience. And obviously I wasn't planning on it, so you know, of course I added her in there, and I was like, what's one more, you know, just that I'm adding in anyway. So it was very nice to meet her as well, even though that interaction was brief. um, I feel bad now because I just realized I'm referring to all these people in the third person, even though if they watch this video, I should be referring to them the first. I'm sorry. It was very nice meeting all of you. Either way, though, um, we also got to meet some of other of Gotcha's friends, some who were just friends, you know, friends and family, some who were friends and family that actually were part of the community and played Dokkan, and, you know, were a little bit more familiar with the YouTube side of things with Gacha. And it was so weird because it was like all of these people knew who we were, but except for, you know, like the couple of people that I, you know, name dropped, um, like we didn't know who they were, you know, but they came up to us, and you know, some of them we had like a little bit of a longer conversation with, um but some of them literally just came up to us and were like, hey, you know, your Gotcha's online friend group, thank you so much for you know, being his friends. And like even just hearing that from like these people who are basically just passing by, right? And like for us, right, obviously they were there to, you know, be a part of the celebration of life. It was a very unique experience, and I is another one of those things that I really don't know how to put into words in terms of like, because like obviously it's a cool feeling, but that's such a weird thing to say in that moment, you know what I mean? um it was very nice of them though, obviously, to come up and thank us for that, because of course they didn't have to. um but yeah, very very interesting, you know, interactions there. You know, like obviously we really appreciated it, but it's just such an like an odd thing to have that happen to you. um you know, because like, yeah, I don't know, it was just a very odd thing to have happen. um and so it was very cool as well to hear his friends talk about, you know, how much he genuinely enjoyed our group as well, and how much he talked about our group as well. Um, that, you know, how much he genuinely appreciated us. There was even one instance where I was specifically referred to that he talked about me and said that he really, really appreciated me. And for me personally, that specific little gem, you know, of that experience, I think will always live on in my mind, that I was so important to him that he talked about me to other people is such an honor. It's hard, you know, I feel like I've been saying it's hard to put this into words. It's hard to process it this whole video, and I apologize about that. But it is just, it's a lot of feelings to work through. And it's a lot of feelings to work through, that I don't know if I will ever get through. But um, hearing that, his appreciation for us and his appreciation for me was enough that he would talk about it to his friends, is something extremely meaningful and something that I will never forget and never take for granted, that he appreciated us that much. And I'm so thankful that we could also play that role for him, and we could also be there for him in that way, and above all else, be his friend. Um, so that was a very cool experience as well. Um, I suppose besides that, um, really, it was just the service was the only thing left. I think there was a small service, like I said, and I won't go too deep into that simply because that will be in. I don't know if James is going to put the whole thing in his video, but the whole thing will be in the memorial video if you would like to see that whole thing. Um, but like to TLDR it a little bit, I suppose. The priest, he definitely did his research. Like I said, I could not believe that. I cannot believe that like a guy with he's got like the piece of paper that says he's a priest said the words Dokkan community. Beyond me, bro. Um, but he basically talked about how he can never really truly understand what Gacha was doing in our community, and he'll never really understand Dokkan or all the intricacies of YouTube and all that. But what he did say was that it was clear that wherever Gacha went, he spread love in this community, and not only was that super perceptive, but I was just like, wow, for someone especially like of that age, to say something like that, at least to me personally, is very meaningful, because I feel like a lot of the time, like both age groups of the younger and the older kind of like I don't want to say don't see eye to eye all the time, but they don't take the time to appreciate what the other person or what the other group is into, or at least like have the initiative to be like, even though I won't understand it, XYZ. And of course, in this light, it was clear that he could see right through Gacha, frankly, that, he was always making people smile and laugh and spreading positivity. And so I thought that was really cool. It was very cool that he was able to, just read his character like that. So after that, basically, we were invited to a couple of places out with some of the people we had met. We really did appreciate their offers. Not only, though, did we not have any money to be spending like that, because we were already, like scraping the funds to make sure that we got there. Whatever it took, of course. But, all of us were like, yeah, no, we're there. We're going to buy food, and, that's just about it. Which is fine, obviously. That's the purpose of the trip, is to be there. What was I just going to say? I'm sorry, but my train of thought got derailed. Oh, we just decided basically like to go back to our hotel and to chill, because as much as we wanted to, interact with them, we kind of felt like that, not only to sort of celebrate Gacha in our own way, but to kind of memorialize him and to, celebrate him. We would, be together as friends when, we couldn't have been before. And he was the one who brought us together for that. And so, after we, talked to a couple people, You know, we talked to Gacha's mother for a little bit. We all got to hug. We took that very nice picture with her, which was great. You know, I talked a little bit about that was when I spoke about potentially uploading it to Gacha's channel. You know, and all the rest. And we were literally there so long the lights turned off in the parking lot. Like the building lights turned off, and then the parking lot lights turned off. They were like, "All right, I think it's time to go." But yeah, so that was the whole memorial. You know, a summary of it, which I know is crazy that, you know, that was like, well, I guess it was more like 40 minutes because the first 10 was talking about the videos, but you know, still more intricate detail. If you come and ask me a couple questions about it on stream, yeah, I'll be happy to answer them, because obviously that's where you can get a response from me live. But regardless, I still wanted to make a video just kind of like mind dumping all of this and giving you guys you know, a chance to not only sort of, I guess, experience it through my experience, but also just tell you about it, just because I felt like it was the right thing to do. And obviously I wanted to tell you about the poster too. All the things that, you know, made me, I was so happy. Literally, like, one of the best things that I think I've ever put together, frankly. I'm so glad that, you know, I was able to do that for the community and for her and Gacha. So happy that I was able to do that. And obviously, of course, above all, that we were able to be there, you know, not just as representatives of everybody who loved him, but of course as his friends, most importantly. So thank you guys again. If you've made it this far in the video, so much for watching. I know this was very long. Again, this was just kind of me giving my thoughts and telling you all the story, I suppose. Keep an eye out for both of those videos. Again, I will, for when James uploads his video about the trip and, of course, the memorial, you know, I will leave a link to his channel in the description. Again, I'm not sure where the memorial video made by his family is going to be uploaded again. Keep an eye on Twitter and Discord. I'll at everybody in my Discord server when that gets uploaded, and I'll make a couple tweets about it too, because there's not really a good way for me to just like upload a video and like, here it is. Maybe I will do that, just, you know, just because. Obviously, if it gets uploaded on Gacha's channel at the end of the day, that would be optimal, because then, of course, you know, that would be like the easiest way that people could see it. I'll probably still make like a little something saying where it is. But either way, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I want to thank you guys so much for being so supportive, not just throughout this whole situation to all of your fellow members of the community, you know, to each other, not just to the people who knew Gacha, not just to his family, but I want to thank you guys for supporting me, supporting all of this, which I know sounds like a really weird thing to say, and I absolutely hate making things about me. I know that sounds kind of dumb, just talking about my whole experience and saying me, but if you know me, I hate like talking about myself like that, and then I hate saying what I just said because it makes me feel like I'm amplifying that more, but whatever. I want to thank you for supporting me talking about it and tweeting about it and all that stuff. I know it's a bit of a different beast, but a lot of the time when I tweet or talk about something else, it isn't just Dokkan. It doesn't get, you know, as much like attention or recognition, which is understandable, because I mean, you know, Dokkan assets, like, sorry, I'm moving the wrong way. Hello, look at all the Dragon Ball, like, go like Dragon Ball garbage on the floor. You know, obviously that's primarily what this channel is, and like who you know, this online persona of mine is. Um, but it means a lot to me that, you know, not only you all support this whole thing, but you know, you support Gacha so much that, um, you know, and it really comes down to, and it's something that this is, you know, that's this important. Um, you know, you're still right there with me. So that really means a lot to me. It really does. I just wanted to make sure that that was clear. Um, Again, thank you for everything, all of you. You know, those of you who donated, those of you who spread around the way to donate, those of you who were just spreading around the word about Gotcha, those of you who are sending prayers and good thoughts, um, you know, good vibes, all that stuff. You know, to everybody, to Gotcha himself. You know, I know that he really did appreciate it. Um, you know, I know that he was very aware, um, towards the end, about all of the support that he was getting from everybody. I know that it was shown to him, and I know that it actually brought him to tears. So I really want to thank you for that, because he knew, you know, even in his final moments, how much we all cared about him, um, which is, you know, something very special. Um, the final thing I want to leave this video with, you may hear this in one of the other videos. One of the things that was one of my big takeaways from the um, memorial was something that, when Israel and Charlie, or Charles, went up to the podium and talked, um, apparently one of the last things that Gotcha said was, be annoying and chase your dreams, which is such a Gotcha thing to say, honestly. Um, and you could unpack that statement in a lot of different ways, right? But I know that throughout this whole situation, um, Gotcha's thoughts of his support and his encouragement towards me and what I enjoy and my ideas and all the rest have been, a great motivator for me in a lot of ways. Um, and hearing that was almost just like hearing him say it to me, like reassuring me in a, you know, in an odd kind of way. Um, so I want to make sure that, wanted to, excuse me, make sure that all of you heard that message as well. Um, and make sure you keep that in your back pocket, whatever you do with that, you know, peace from him, you know, is yours to decide. But be annoying and chase your dreams. With that, again, thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this. I know this ended up being like an hour. Sorry, I talk a lot. I'm not gonna apologize for it, you know. But anyway, again, keep an eye out for those two videos, because obviously those will be the, you know, final stepping stones in this big journey, and of course the way to, you know, kind of experience and see the memorial. Um, Again, thank you guys for everything. Thank you so much for all the support, everything that I just, you know, said for the past however long. Thank you again, genuinely. It means so much. I will catch you guys in the next one. Dokkan Assets out. Peace.